transgression? Literally, stepping across. A transgressive act is one which does not abide by the traditional norms, values, and/or laws of a given society. In this instance, we will be looking at that within the film industry. Transgression has been portrayed in cinema in a number of ways to explore areas such as sexual preferences, subcultures, and criminality, to express true stories of those who challenged the norms of their time, or simply through scenes of graphic violence. Director Quentin Tarantino is almost synonymous with that last, often using such scenes to grip the audience, construe a message, or in comedic ways. Tarantino has even had to defend and justify his movies, most notably in an interview about Django Unchained. However, I want to discuss a movie which embraces all of these to produce a piece of social commentary parallel to some academic research.
President Business is going to end the world? But he's such a good guy. In Octan, they make good stuff. Music, dairy products, coffee, TV shows, surveillance systems, all history books, voting machines. Wait a minute.
And that is David Fincher's Fight Club, based on Chuck Palahniuk's book of the same name. Now, obviously, I will be breaking Rule 1. I will be talking a lot about Fight Club. Bad puns aside, there will be spoilers in this for the movie, but come on, it came out in 1999. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Based around the story of two characters, Tyler Durden, as portrayed by Brad Pitt, and the unnamed character of Ed Norton, who, henceforth, I shall refer to as the narrator, Fight Club revolves around the narrator, stuck in a dead-end job, battling boredom, insomnia, and the lack of a will to live. Enter Tyler Durden, a soap manufacturer and salesman who ends up becoming a large part of the narrator's life. Through unusual circumstances, the two find themselves brought together, and the narrator begins to understand that Tyler is everything he wants to be. Masculine, in control of his own destiny, and free from the shackles of Starbucks and Microsoft. After a night of discussing these aspects of life, the inception of Fight Club comes from their want to regain that masculinity and feel that freedom is a physical thing. Quickly, this snowballs from the two of them in a car park to weekly group meetings. All the time, more and more people joining until it takes a turn and evolves into a group that is almost cult-like. Fight Club explores themes like commercialism and consumerism, noting the IKEA nesting syndrome.
I'd flip through catalogs and wonder, what kind of dining set defines me as a person?
Masculinity, mental health, religion, sex, and the narrator's methods of escaping these and the other mundanities of everyday life. So why fight? What is it about fighting that allows them to regain what once was lost? Well, as previously mentioned, it's the release from everyday mundanities that is the main driving force. The narrator remarks that he starts to forget about everyday things.
By the end of the first month, I didn't miss TV.
How after fighting, the volume of other things seems to turn down. He begins to notice how others need those small things to keep them going. This can be related to a number of Katz's theories in The Seductions of Crime. Katz describes the ways of the badass, how they must appear tough and unwilling to be changed, to appear alienated and not part of civilized society. The narrator makes no effort in hiding his cuts and bruises, and at times makes them more apparent for effect. This is actually a reference as to why the author wrote the book in the first place. Palahniuk went to work one day with a black eye, and nobody asked him about it, sparking the idea for the novel. A further part of Katz's theory on the ways of the badass is that he must appear to be in command of situations and unwilling to back down, which can be seen in a number of Tyler's scenes. Most notably, when the owner of the tavern they've been holding their sessions in, Lou, confronts them about it and demands they leave. Tyler does not budge, even allowing Lou to beat him up, all the while laughing maniacally before pouncing on the owner, spitting blood as he begs him to let them stay. Katz also speaks of them often wearing leather or dark clothing, dark sunglasses, and heavy boots. Tyler wears his leather jacket through a large portion of the movie, and when it starts to divulge into the more cultish aspects, the group have a sort of uniform, consisting of, you guessed it, black boots, black trousers, black tops. Katz also asserts on the ideas of righteous slaughter. While obviously he is using this to discuss the realms of murderers, Katz speaks of how most murders occur at work or recreational activities, as it's easier to walk away from these than it is if one was to kill at home, as there are much greater emotional investments at home. I want to employ this theory to how the narrator ends up in his situation. Upon returning from a business trip, the narrator finds that his apartment has been destroyed by what the police believe to be a gas leak sparked by a faulty refrigerator wire. As the film progresses, we learn that it was actually Tyler who blew it up. And, here's the real kicker, spoiler warning, cover your ears if you haven't seen it. We later discover that Tyler is the narrator's subconscious. So, the narrator destroyed his apartment, where he felt safe, but this allowed him to achieve all the things he and Fight Club achieve. Project Mayhem would have never happened without this initial explosion, propelling the narrator into this life of fulfilling his repressed manhood. More on Project Mayhem in a bit. The themes displayed in the book and movie also touch on some of the features of rave culture, where the rave scene was a sort of antidote to the more highbrow clubs where there were no trainers allowed.
No trainers.
But they're new.
No trainers.
Fight Club offers that same antidote to those who don't feel that they fit into the ever-feminized world around them.
We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm wondering if another woman is really the answer we need.
Similarly, Pierre Bourdieu's concept of cultural capital, about the importance of being in the know combined with the appropriate fashion that will improve your subculture capital. The narrator says that Fight Club became the reason to cut your hair short, to trim your nails. As more people joined in, Fight Club does essentially become a subculture. They have their own fashion. Where ravers had their record collections, fighters wore their scars as badges of honour. Their infamy grew as they began to commit more and more transgressive acts outside of the club, deemed to be homework assignments by Tyler. The police commissioner even comments in an interview that these acts are believed to be linked to an underground boxing ring. The whole club being shrouded in secrecy plays into both Bourdieu's theory and Katz's. The seduction of that stealth aspect and the action of only finding out by knowing someone else who is in the know makes it seem all the more attractive to the right demographic. Finally, at the close of the movie, Project Mayhem seeks to destroy some of the most prosperous banks in the city. This is linked to Bauman's theory, supported by Weber, on formal rationality versus the substantive, calculating by a means to an end versus the values and ethics orientated process, guided by human values. They both assert that formal rationality wins as it removes the ambivalence produced by those values and feelings. Weber also speaks of anomie, social disintegration, and the feeling of not being a part of your society. Tyler is the narrator's manifestation of that. He wants to make it right by taking everyone
One step closer to economic equilibrium.
So, as the film concludes, so does this. Tying together themes of subculture, rave culture, masculinity and commercialism, Fight Club presents an accessible way at nonchalantly displaying Katz's theories, assertions from Bourdieu, Weber and Bauman, culminating to create this cinematic masterpiece. A small slice of transgressive cinema that I hope was interesting. Take care.